Good evening everyone. I'm recording this at night time because the babies have gone to bed, so I can give you a brief overview of our new line management document, which is effective 2021. So it's from now onwards we'll be using this document pro forma for our line management meetings. So I've recorded the screen here so that you can see everything that's on it, and you can see me going through the process in a sort of just a very systematic step-by-step way. So starting from the beginning, very, very basic as always, we've got an icon of St. Joseph, we had an icon of Jesus on the department development plan. So we've gone with an icon of Joseph for the line management document because it's the year of St. Joseph. Over here, you would fill out your department name, you'd fill out the head of department, and you'd fill out the line manager's name. They are the co-authors of this document, although they have more of a ghost writer type role. If you look at the very beginning of the document, the introductory pages, I've started with the school mission statement. It's really important that we centre all our work around the school mission statement. And then we've got a short introduction. I'm going to read that to you now so that you can listen to this on your way into work or at your convenience. You may want to just read it yourself, but I'll read it for you anyway. Introduction. The line management process aims to support all departments as they progress towards their development objectives. So it's linked to the DDP. This document is ordered towards gaining a true insight into the progress of a department and facilitating honest conversations with line managers about the quality of education being provided for our pupils. Regular meetings with line managers are recommended. Not all meetings are expected to take place in a formal capacity. The formal line management meetings take place half-termly. The first meeting focuses on examination analysis, the creation of a department development plan, and staff performance management objectives. So that's the sort of first meeting that you would have. The formal line management meetings, however, and this is what we're talking about, is this document, focus on the completion of this line management document. We recommend that all heads of department regularly review this document prior to the formal line management meeting. Okay, so you would look over this document that you've filled out. Line managers have a look at it. If you're a head of department, someone who's being line managed, you want to review this document, fill it out to the best of your ability, and then go ahead and have a meeting. This document will be available on, it will be on Google. It will be a digital document that you can annotate together. And not only will it be a digital document that you can annotate, it will be locked off and private so that only you, your line manager, and one other person in the school will have access to it. The line management document aims to summarise the half-termly work of a department in a quantifiable and digestible format. The school calendar overview sets out the deadlines for completion of the half-termly line management meetings. These dates are outlined below. So what I've done, I've just put in the dates when the reviews are due. This first one is going to be delayed slightly, so you can ignore that date. There will be a slight delay on it, but the rest will take place in a timely manner. The only reason there's a delay there is because I wanted to get this over to you and go through it quite comprehensively and give you some oversight and some insight into how to do it well before just releasing a document out into the ether and then hoping for a good line management process to come out of that. What we do want, however, is the process of line management to be meaningful, manageable, and motivational. That sort of bit there is really, really important. Meaningful, manageable, motivational. We can use the 3 M's there as a rubric through which we view the entire document and how we approach it. We then have the whole school priorities, which you know very well now because you've completed your department development plans and we've gone through them. Okay, so this is an example of an Autumn 1 line management review which was conducted by OHOD. It's used as an example. This is section 1, which is department analysis. So we want to look at the department holistically, not just looking at data. We begin with staff well-being. Just as on the DDP we begun with who are the members of staff in the department, we're now looking at how those people are getting on. So we're going to comment on the well-being of staff in the department. This is a people job. This is a human person's job. So we're also going to consider initiatives that are in place to support staff in the team. These are things that are being done either by the school that you've adopted, or they're things that you have done of your own volition creatively to improve well-being of staff in your department. These might actually be things that could be shared, and the line manager might look at it and say, that's a really good idea that we should use and adopt in other departments too. So, staff are coping with marking because we have implemented school policy in a manageable way. This is a system This is a system change. It's systems that actually have a bigger impact on well-being, or so I believe. Everyone in the team is on top of work. One member of staff is currently long-term sick. The cover teacher has work provided and is doing well. So maybe you've given work to the cover teacher, so they're managing as well in the absence of a member of staff. We've arranged Christmas dinner and breakfast in the morning before our Wednesday morning meetings. I regularly check in on the member of staff who is on maternity, who is doing very well with baby Agatha. Okay, section 2, character and ethos. How is your department contributing to the character and ethos of the school? We get a lot of questions about this, but it's all being done and it's all in place. So we're going to consider things like seasonal prayers, the co-curricular offer, charity initiatives, embedding RUA, safe behaviours, truth, goodness and beauty in that which is taught, and other character development work, so the virtues. So we start with the person saying that they've adopted the seasonal prayers for October. Yep, October we pray the Hail Mary. That's a great way of contributing to the character and ethos of our Catholic school. We've increased uptake in Glee Club. Glee Club is a great club and it's fostered good friendships. Mr. Marvel, who is clearly a great member of the department, has delivered a whole school assembly on fundamental British values. Pupil voice feedback showed 80% of pupils agree and strongly agree it changed their attitudes towards people who are different to them. So we're increasing tolerance and inclusivity there. In all lessons this term, we've focused on people with exceptional talent as part of our starter activities. We encourage inquiry, truth, through project-based learning. Maybe the pupils have done a project where they make a presentation on something that they've been digging into, fact-finding about, maybe a historical truth, maybe a scientific truth, something like that. Our first house competition took place this half term. Great, again, contributing to the character and ethos of the school for all pupils in Year 9. Behaviour for learning. So now the HOD is going to comment on behaviour for learning in the department. They're going to consider the department's use of the SIMS points-based system, their own observations of course, on call, and are any students on departmental report to the, should say HOD, or a senior member of staff in your team. As HOD, how are you supporting the promotion of good behaviour for learning in your department? Well, the facts are here. 3 on-calls this half-term came from cover lessons. 1 came from Mr. Majika's Year 9x5 class. Don't know if anyone remembers those books. Our department has conducted 17 Step 1 detentions and 3 Step 2. There's been 1 referral as well, which obviously is a referral that's gone beyond Step 1 and 2, because Step 1 and 2 are still very much under the authority and oversight of the head of department, not the head of year. All classes have a high record of achievement points. That's great. The head of department here has used their M&E time to visit all lessons and intervene to support the NQT. 3 pupils are on departmental report to the head of department. So that's fact finding, and the line manager might say, well look, tell me about this, or actually have you noticed that in this particular class, using the SIMS points-based system, you can see that the majority of the achievement points are coming from there. This member of staff uses the SIMS points-based system very rigorously, and that should be commended. Okay, part 4. We don't work in isolation from the parents. Parents work with us. So we decided it would be important to include parental communication and begin to quantify that as well. How do we know it's taking place? Well, we're all doing it. How do we prove it's taking place? Well, we include it in our line management document and our overview of the department process. So each member of staff in this particular department has phoned home at least once to reinforce a pupil's should be good behaviour, hopefully not reinforcing bad behaviours. And at the end of the first half term, this department has sent home 8 postcards per year group. So this is clearly an exceptional department, and you're not expected to do all of these things. It might be that you do 1 and 2 and you do them very well and you've embedded them in your department, and that's far more valuable than many initiatives which aren't embedded at all. Alright, so we continue onto the next page, and now we're looking at question number 5, if you like, or area number 5, which is learning environment. Following a learning tour, comment on the learning environment of your department. Consider whether or not the learning environment is professional, conducive to learning, well maintained. Please also record areas of disrepair, material needs, or other necessary site team intervention. So do let us know via this document where things need to be corrected, repaired, made better in some way. We want to make sure that our school has an awesome site, and that does mean that the areas that we have oversight of need to look amazing. They should do, for the benefit of the pupils. Now, this person's written down that during M&E, they walked the classrooms with the Key Stage coordinator, and they observed the area around the department also. They've raised with heads of year that at the end of break, litter is being left in their corridor. Displays are all up to date. Mrs. Incredible has developed a pupil revision learning wall in her classroom. There was one room identified by the line manager that needs to be decluttered. This has since been done and is an ongoing process throughout the department. So there we have it on learning environment. That's quite straightforward. It should be fine. But recording areas of disrepair is really important. We need to know that. We need to know what goes on, and it should be an ongoing thing. It's not just something that we do prior to the year 6 into 7 open evening. All right, area 6 and 7, and then we finish this part. So area 6, comment on the quality of teaching in your department. Consider formal and informal observations made. Now, this person's learning walk showed excellent practice in all lessons apart from cover. Take 10 is embedded, and we're now developing drop everything and check in the lessons. So this is consistent practice that they're looking for here, which again has gone beyond just individual teachers doing well. It's like, as a department, we all do X. Free formal observations showed developments in teacher practice. Most areas show exceptional teaching. CPD is booked in for the entire department in AFL. This is really good. I think it's brilliant when an entire department rocks up for a CPD. I know it's not always possible, it's not practical all the time, but having a shared CPD means that the department can embed that thing or any initiatives that come out of that CPD together. Department teaching focus is on differentiation for SEND. So they've also identified an area that they want to develop further there. Okay. Part 7, home learning. Conduct a home learning analysis of your department and write your findings below. The department uses both Google, if I can get the word out, uses both Google Classroom and Satchel. We have X amount of homeworks being conducted, so they might look at Satchel, do a quick analysis. Satchel gives you all of this on a platter, so it's pretty straightforward. Maybe the department has been using a new bit of software, Hegarty Maths, something like that, that is tied to the DDP, that has improved home learning, what the students are doing to become scholarly outside of class, outside of the directed time that we have with them. Then there's some AOB there as well. Okay, well, with that being said, we might as well dive straight into section 2. So this area here, it's all lines of inquiry, looking at the department holistically. And I don't want you to think here that you have to do a lot of writing. This is about facilitating a conversation. So even if the writing was limited to that which you should record to quantify, that would be fine, because the discussion that's being had is far more meaningful, especially if there are tangible action points coming out of those discussions. So this isn't just a writing task. This isn't evidence for evidence sake, and this isn't scrutiny for scrutiny's sake. All of these areas, I'm pretty certain that everybody listening to this agrees are very important if we're talking about continuous improvements to our entire school. So they've written about 4 to 5 bullet points for each area. And then we get down to the department analysis, which has been stripped right back, the department data analysis, which has been stripped right back to simply putting in the overviews, the headline figures, the things that you have analysed. So there is no more scaffolding. The stabilisers are now fully off, and we completely are confident in the ability of HODs to be able to analyse the data in their department using CISRA. So you don't need to go onto CISRA, import it to Excel, take it from Excel, put it onto Word, then do your commentary. You can just do your commentary directly from CISRA and the analysis that you'll see there. So you want to look at groups analysis, particularly for Key Stage 4, no child left behind. We want to make sure that all the groups are progressing towards their target grades at a similar rate. We also want to make sure that we identify here the areas in the department where things are going well, the areas in the department where there are gaps or areas of intervention. So that's quite simple. You might say here that, our REAL students are all meeting their target grades. The majority of them are above. You might say here that we've noticed that pupils coming from the white Irish ethnic category are not doing as well. Agreed action points, well, we're going to redress that through our intervention slot. every teacher is going to make sure that any child from a particular group is going to go into intervention, which is going to be scheduled on X date. So you might want to show where you're logging your intervention, but that's a separate thing which we'll talk about in our HODS meeting. Same with Key Stage 5, but here at Key Stage 5 you don't necessarily need to do a groups analysis because it's difficult to do that because the sample is so small. There are some Key Stage 5 classes which have got 15 pupils per class, and you'll find that that might not help. What you might want to look at is some overview data. You might want to look at individual teacher effect, things of that nature. But we know that HODS can do data analysis very well, so we don't need to worry about that. So that's the first one, that's the autumn one, done and dusted. And once you've got your head around this part, I think it will be pretty straightforward because everything else will be quite familiar. It's just the removal of the scaffolding around the data. And then we've got Autumn 2, Line Management Review. So for this, you might want to see that this is a continuation of the Autumn 1 Line Management Review. The document has all of the reviews on it so that we can see progress over time. We can see action points. You don't need to have minutes for those meetings. It's all recorded here as points that have been worked on and are being worked on. So the same thing again there. However, with this one, obviously, there's a Key Stage 3 data analysis section added. And then it goes back to our next one, which is now Spring 1. And then we've got the same thing there, Key Stage 4, Key Stage 5, and there's Key Stage 3, and so on and so forth. So that's what the document looks like. It'll be a digital document for you to share with your line manager, and I hope that's helpful, and I hope that shows the direction we're moving in terms of our overall line management process, making it holistic for the benefit of the pupils who we work with. Don't spend a lot of time writing, spend more time speaking about the initiatives that are happening, thinking about how the department has improved and is continuing to improve, and putting down the relevant points to the lines of inquiry.